Welcome to the channel, where every story takes you beyond the ordinary. If you're here, it's no coincidence. You're meant to hear this. Before we dive into today's powerful tale, take a moment to comment where in the world you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss tomorrow's special episode. Trust me, it's one you won't want to miss. Now, let's begin. The morning sun pressed down on the tarmac like a heavy breath, shimmering in waves that distorted the horizon. It was 96 degrees and climbing. The private runway at Orion Air's executive terminal sat in unnerving stillness until a black armored SUV rolled to a stop near the Falcon V-12, a $180 million airborne command center gleaming in the heat. From the rear passenger door stepped Nathan Carter, 42 years old, tall and composed, dressed in a charcoal gray suit tailored so sharply it might as well have been armor. He wasn't there to board a luxury flight. He was there to close a $2.1 billion acquisition deal, one that would rewrite the rules of global freight logistics across 3 continents. This wasn't business. This was chess, and the final move was just inches away. By his side walked Logan Pierce, Nathan's executive assistant and trusted confidant, holding a slim, leather briefcase and an encrypted tablet, biometric locked, military grade. The two men moved with the smooth synchronization of clock gears, precise, focused, unstoppable, as they approached the terminal. But standing between them and the gate was a new obstacle. Tyler Griggs, 25, a recently promoted terminal supervisor, stood firm. His Orion uniform was crisp, his expression practiced. A laminated badge swung slightly from his neck. He extended his arm, clipboard in hand. "Sir, I'm going to need to stop you right there," he said without hesitation. Nathan paused, unbothered. Logan blinked, stepping forward, half disbelieving. "This is Mr. Carter. He owns the aircraft, all biometric clearances, passenger. Manifests and flight itineraries were submitted overnight." Tyler shook his head. "Doesn't matter. Authorization has to come directly from Central Dispatch. I don't have it in my system." Nathan studied the young man, not with anger, not even with frustration, but with the unsettling calm of someone used to storms. "And if I told you," he said slowly, "that I helped design this terminal," Tyler gave a nervous chuckle, "then I'd say the rules apply even more, sir." Just a few yards away, near a maintenance panel, a small boy stood silently. His name was Eli, 10 years old, nonverbal and autistic. He wore noise-canceling headphones and clutched a glowing tablet powered by AI designed to detect emotional shifts. The screen blinked red. Distress detected. Severity high. Eli, without hesitation, tapped record. Back at the impasse, Logan held out his own tablet. "Facial recognition, clearance, ownership, just scan it." Tyler held firm. "That's above my level, central only." Nathan tilted his head. "How long have you worked here?" 6 weeks. Finished top of my class." Without another word, Nathan reached into his jacket, pulling out a sleek black device. No keypad, no screen. Just a thumbprint sensor and one solitary button. He pressed it. 70 miles away, inside Orion Air's Central Operations Nerve Center, alarms erupted. Red lights flashed. A siren screamed. Code Gravity, Level 9. Only one person could trigger that code. Nathan Carter, and the skies began to shut down. The ripple effect was immediate. Within minutes of Nathan Carter pressing that button, Orion Air's West Coast network began to grind to a halt. Flights were grounded, gates locked, terminals flooded with confused passengers and panicked staff. Digital displays flickered from on time to delayed in rapid succession. Overhead speakers crackled with vague announcements. No one knew what was happening, except the man walking silently back to his SUV. Inside the armored vehicle, Nathan folded his arms and watched the chaos unfold from the tinted window. Logan sat beside him, gripping the tablet tighter than before. "What now?" he asked. Nathan didn't answer. Not yet. At that very moment, in Orion Air's towering headquarters in downtown San Francisco, Red alerts lit up the operations dashboard like a Christmas tree. Miles of data scrolled across the main screen. The director of operations, Jillian Rhodes, froze as she saw the clearance level. Code gravity. Level 9, she whispered. Only one man held that level of authority. Nathan Carter, her assistant confirmed, pale-faced. Back at the terminal, Tyler Griggs's radio crackled. Supervisor Griggs, report to boardroom 9 now. The call wasn't a request. It was a summons. He looked stunned. Just a kid trying to do his job, but now the entire airline's chain of command was unraveling around him. Still, he followed orders, disappearing into a waiting black SUV already en route to corporate. Hours later, in boardroom 9, the temperature was cold despite the California heat. Board members sat in stiff suits, eyes fixed on the massive screen at the head of the table. Then Nathan appeared, live, direct, and calm. "Let me walk you through what went wrong," he began. What followed wasn't rage. It wasn't ego. It was surgical. Nathan laid out a precise timeline, timestamps, audio logs, internal messages. He showed that the system recognized his clearance. The system verified his identity. But a human being, one hired under broken policies, overrode. Not out of malice, but because he'd been poorly trained, underinformed, and overempowered. "This isn't about Tyler Griggs," Nathan said firmly. "It's about the system that failed him." Then came the real blow. He revealed a confidential HR report written 6 months ago by Denise Harper, Orion's former head of people and culture. The report had outlined systemic problems in hiring, training, and accountability, but it had been buried. Denise had been quietly pushed out for pushing too hard. Nathan paused. "Your board ignored this. So I activated Clause 21, murmurs erupted around the table. Clause 21, a rarely invoked section of Orion's own bylaws, authorized emergency suspension of the board and full operational audit in the event of systemic failure. Nathan had the legal leverage, the evidence, and the will to use it. "You have until midnight," he said. Silence followed. Then the screen went dark. Back at the SUV, Logan finally asked again, "So, what now?" Nathan looked out across the runway where technicians were still scrambling, where flights remained frozen, where silence replaced noise. "Now," he said quietly, "we rebuild." And somewhere in the cloud, Eli's tablet pinged again. Video uploaded. Incident flagged. Protocol Nova initiated. Midnight came and the board folded. No press conferences, no last-minute resistance. Just resignation letters and NDAs quietly circulated behind closed doors. Orion Air, once considered untouchable, had cracked open at the seams. But Nathan Carter didn't celebrate. He didn't pour champagne or take a victory lap. Instead, he made a single phone call. "Denise Harper," he said, "it's time to come back." She had been pushed out for caring too much, for demanding accountability, for putting people above quarterly reports. Now she returned with full authority and zero filters. Her first order? A company-wide cultural audit. No PR spin, no executive interference. But Nathan knew this wasn't just about exposing what was broken. It was about building something better. So, he drove, not to the glass towers of corporate, but to a forgotten maintenance hangar just outside Oakland. It had once been used to store decommissioned aircraft parts. Now, it would become ground zero for Nova Air. There was no formal announcement. No investors, no marketing buzz, just purpose. The first to arrive was Samantha Bell, a former gate agent who'd been passed over for promotions year after year, despite running 3 terminals more efficiently than her supervisors. She didn't ask questions. She rolled up her sleeves and started mapping out floor plans. Next came Victor Thomas, a 70-year-old retired pilot. Back in the 70s, he'd dared to speak out against racism in aviation, and paid the price. Blackballed, forgotten, until now. He sat across from Nathan in a folding chair, hands weathered, voice calm. "You're not just building an airline," Victor said. "You're building a promise." Nathan nodded. "Then help me make sure we don't break it." From those first few days, Nova wasn't born from strategy meetings. It was born from sweat, stories, and second chances. The mission was simple: honor, safety, dignity, no buzzwords, no slogans, just truth. As Denise's audit rolled in, the numbers were staggering. 73 documented violations in the first phase alone. Harassment ignored, complaints buried, schedules that pushed staff to collapse. Nathan didn't flinch. Every violation was publicly logged. Every resolution tracked. Transparency wasn't a feature, it was the foundation. There were no elite lounges, no executive tiers. When Nova's inaugural flight was announced, from New York to Atlanta, every seat sold out within 48 hours. And Nathan, he flew coach. No private cabin, no entourage, just another passenger in the movement. On board, instead of glossy ad reels, the in-flight video featured Samantha and Victor, speaking not from a script, but from the heart. They talked about what they had seen, what they had endured, and why Nova mattered. As the flight touched down in Atlanta, fire trucks lined the tarmac, spraying arcs of water in celebration. Ground crews clapped. Passengers cried. Nova had landed. And, for the first time in years, people in the airline industry didn't just feel like employees. They felt seen. The rebuild had begun. And the world was watching. Nova's debut flight didn't just make headlines. It shook the foundations of the industry. But with every applause came retaliation. Orion Air, humiliated and bleeding credibility, wasn't done. They returned fire. The only way they knew how, through backdoor legal threats, aggressive PR smear campaigns, and covert sabotage attempts. The war had simply changed arenas. Nova's second flight had barely taken off when Captain Miguel Reyes, a seasoned pilot, with 18 years of flight time, requested a private meeting with Nathan. His hands were shaking. "They offered me 500 grand, he said flatly, to delay your launch, cancel a takeoff, fake a systems glitch." Nathan looked at him, not with shock, but quiet recognition. "What did you say?" Miguel straightened. "I said I'll fly for Nova, not against it, but I want to earn my seat, make me co-pilot." Nathan extended his hand. "Welcome aboard." That same week, a lawsuit landed on Nova's desk. Orion, now operating under a shell entity called JetCore Logistics, accused Nova of stealing trade secrets, proprietary systems, and even personnel. It was all noise, wrapped in legal armor. But Nathan didn't retreat behind lawyers. He went live. Without editing, without spin, he live-streamed Nova's internal strategy session. Every slide, every conversation, every rebuttal, shared in real time. 30 million people tuned in. Some watched out of curiosity, others out of loyalty. But by the end, the message was clear. Nova wasn't hiding. Nova was leading. The lawsuit crumbled within days. But Nathan wasn't finished. He wanted to prevent the very disease that had infected Orion from ever touching Nova. So he launched what would become the most radical feature in modern aviation management: a public-facing transparency portal. Real-time incident logging. Live. Metrics. Complaint tracking with visible resolution timelines. Nothing hidden. Nothing filtered. "If we mess up," Nathan told his staff, "the world gets to see how we fix it." It was bold, risky, and exactly what passengers had been waiting for. Hashtags exploded across social media. Fly Nova. Uriwan Iris dignity in the sky. Wings of change. But while public support surged, pressure inside Nova was growing. The workload was crushing. Every new hire felt the weight of the mission on their shoulders. Then, during a training seminar in Chicago, Victor Thomas, Nova's moral compass and co-founder, collapsed. His heart gave out. He survived, but barely. The moment hit like a lightning bolt. Nova had been built to fight injustice, but even warriors need rest. So Nathan created the Thomas Principle, a required story-sharing module in all training programs. Every employee, from janitors to pilots, would learn the names, faces, and histories of those who built Nova. Not just the company, but the movement. Because if you forget the sacrifices, you risk repeating the sins. And when Victor returned, thinner and slower but still proud, Nathan greeted him not with applause, but with silence. a full minute of it. Across every Nova flight in the sky, from Denver to Miami, from Seattle to Houston, a voice came over the intercom. Please join us in a moment of silence for Victor Thomas, a man who reminded us that legacy is about who you lift, not what you leave. And not a single passenger complained. The silence in the skies didn't just honor Victor Thomas, it changed something. That moment, suspended midair across dozens of Nova flights, told the world what kind of company this was becoming. Not just an airline, but a living promise. A movement, but promises invite pressure, and power never cedes quietly. Weeks after Victor's collapse, a new wave of attacks emerged, not from Orion's remnants but from their reincarnation. JetCorp Aviation Holdings, a shell company hiding old motives behind a fresh logo. They filed a new lawsuit claiming that Nova had stolen proprietary systems and illegally recruited former Orion staff. But this time they came with polished press releases, celebrity lawyers, and a well-oiled smear campaign across every major outlet. Nathan Carter didn't blink. He called his team together. No executives, no spin doctors, just the core crew. And once again, he live-streamed the entire legal prep session. No edits, no filters, just strategy, truth, and clarity. The internet exploded. 30 million viewers tuned in again. This wasn't corporate warfare anymore. This was a public reckoning. JetCorp's lawsuit evaporated under the weight of transparency, but Nathan didn't gloat. He didn't tweet victory speeches or schedule press interviews. He simply turned back to the people. Nova launched the Truth Portal, a public dashboard that displayed in real time complaint logs, employee feedback, safety metrics, response times. Every issue was tracked and resolved in full view of the world. There were no hidden doors, no dark rooms, just light. And yet, even in the daylight, pressure builds. The team was running on heart, but hearts have limits. So Nathan made a choice that shocked the industry. Instead of launching a private jet club for billionaires, as his investors suggested, he greenlit Nova's West Coast Equality flight, a flagship route from Los Angeles to Seattle, piloted by Captain Ava Mitchell, a black woman with a 22-year flight record, and co-pilot Riley Torres, a proud Latina trans aviator. The cabin walls were painted with murals created by incarcerated artists. Every seat bore a name tag honoring educators, social workers, and community leaders flown in for free. It was loud, it was visible, it was bold, and it was no longer protest. It was proof. As the aircraft soared above the Pacific, students from underserved schools watched from rooftop viewing parties. Elders in wheelchairs waved from community centers. Airport janitors stopped mopping to whisper, "That's ours." Legacy wasn't a statue or a wing in a museum. It was movement in motion. Before takeoff, Ava Mitchell's voice came over the intercom, steady and full of quiet pride. "We're honored to fly you today, not just through the air, but toward the future." And when Nova Flight 221 touched down in Seattle, there were no red carpets, no confetti, just fire trucks in formation, spraying arcs of water high into the air. A salute. Nathan watched from the tarmac, hands in his pockets. He wasn't smiling, he was thinking. Because now Nova wasn't a company, it was a commitment, and the real journey was only beginning. We'd love to hear what this story meant to you. After witnessing Nathan Carter's journey, from being stopped at a terminal gate to launching a movement that reshaped the skies, what moment stood out most to you? Was it Victor Thomas's powerful silence, Ava Mitchell's historic flight, or the unwavering stand for dignity and transparency? Leave us a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. Your voice matters. Whether you've experienced injustice at work, seen quiet leadership in action, or believe in the power of second chances, we invite you to share your thoughts. What does legacy mean to you? What would dignity in the sky look like if you were in the captain's seat? And if someone in this story reminded you of a real person in your life, a mentor, a leader, a fighter, we'd love to hear their story too. Let's fill this comment section with stories worth lifting. Stories that prove change isn't just possible, it's already in motion. If this narrative inspired you, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's episode, because here, every story takes flight.